Hello and welcome to this random chess puzzles video. So how can you improve your chess quickly? Yes, by solving tactics problems and puzzles just like these. So you can solve these along with me. In this position, white has just castled here. So what do we have? How can we take advantage of this position? Well, normally the first thing you want to look at when solving tactics problems or in your own games is if there are any checks against your opponent. So it doesn't look like there's any way to get in there and check the king, or go after the king. So, after that, what do you do? Well, you can look at the pieces and see if there's a way to go ahead and snatch up material by capturing one of the pieces. So do they have any pieces that are unprotected? Looks like they're all pretty much protected, but maybe there's a way we can reduce the amount of protection. So let's see here. We're piling up on this bishop here. So that looks, to be a good place to start. The knight and the queen are protecting, so can we pick off this knight? Then if the queen captures, well then, what happens if we go after this right here? One issue, though, is to make sure you take a look at what happens after you start capturing pieces so you don't miss something. So, if we capture the knight, either the pawn or the queen can recapture, and then there'll be only one defender. But a problem could be that if we capture this bishop, what happens if the rook moves here? So, maybe capture, queen captures, or the bishop. We captured their bishop, or excuse me, queen captures or the pawn captures our bishop. Then once we capture, if they attack our queen here, we have to watch out. If we try and move our queen away, it does look like we could move back to here and guard this rook. So I think that's the plan. So capture, then we go after this, and then we can retreat back and protect our rook so we don't have a back rank mate. So it looks like that'll work. And I don't see anything any better. So, and then we just capture. And so now we're just ahead with this extra bishop. All right, well, I hope you found that problem. These problems are, kind of beginner to intermediate range. I bumped it up a little bit, so 1100 to 1600 range compared to the last video I did on these. All right, so on to the next problem. I'll try and do 10 problems here. So we have 9 more. Okay, the queen has just moved, pinning this rook to the king. So, what can we do in this position? Well, as I mentioned before, take a look at checks. Because they're the most forcing. Now we are attacking this rook, but if we capture, they can capture our rook with check. So maybe we have something better. Let's look at these checks. So, if we check here, the king will just run to here. So maybe another option is to check here. And, you don't want to just check the king just because you can, of course. You have to make sure that there's a good follow-up. So if we check here on e8 and the king is forced to go here, then we have an option of capturing with the queen and checking again. And then what? Do we have a follow-up after that? So check on e8. King has to move to g7. We capture this pawn with check. Now, if the king moves into the corner, then it's just mate. So the king will be forced to move here. And then what do? What kind of follow-up do we have? So, once again, queen to e8 check. King moves to g7. We capture the pawn with check, forcing the king to h6. And then what? We can't move this rook. We could check here. Then what if the king tries to run? We could check with a pawn. Oh, it's kind of hard sometimes to see all the moves in the follow-up. So once again, queen to e8 check. King has to move to g7. We capture the pawn with the queen here, checking again on f7. The king runs here. Then what? We could check again. But what if the king goes here? Well, I'll just get on with it here. But I'm not sure, what the best follow-up. And usually you want to try and calculate this all out in your head. Because in a game, I might not be able to see deep enough to, calculate exactly how we should continue. What do? We can't move this rook because it's pinned to our king. So we could check here, and the king could try and run forward, attacking our rook with the queen. But then what? We could check with a pawn. And I don't know. I don't see anything else. Is there a way to go after this? I don't know. It looks like we should go there. Now we attack with the pawn. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. But then what? We attack with the pawn. The king can only go here. Oh, and then we attack with the other one. Then he'll be able to capture this one. All right, so this is a little tricky. Now once we go here, we'll have a capture here, and then we can check, and that'll be mate, I believe. Yeah, because now the only option is to capture here, and the queen can mate here. So that one was a little tricky, a 1280 rating. So anyway, I hope you did better on that one. On to the next one here. We have a queen that was under attack and moved away to h4 here. So what can we do? First you want to look for any threatening checks. This rook could check, but then it would just be captured. Is there any other way to check? the opponent's king. So it doesn't look like we can get at the king at the moment. So now we look for unprotected pieces. We have an unprotected bishop, unprotected queen. Maybe there's a way that we can trap the queen. All right, so take a look at this. As always, pause if you need to, but I think we can trap the queen. So how would you go about trapping the queen? All right, so I think we should use our rook to g4, attacking the queen. Then where can the queen go? It can't capture the rook, or our queen will just capture. If they try to counterattack by capturing our knight and attacking our queen, we can just pick off that bishop. So, queen attack with rook to g4. The only place for the queen to go is h3 here, and then we can move our rook to g1 with a discovered attack on the queen and pick off the queen. Oh, okay, so I overlooked a move. All right, well, that's not good. So you have to be careful, because this changes everything. Is there a way to continue trapping the queen? Well, we just attack again. So just like that, now they attack our queen. Okay, well, we can go ahead and capture. Then if they capture our queen, we can just, capture their knight, and we'll just be ahead in material there. So that looks to be the best option. Yeah, now we can just pick that off, and we're just ahead in material. All right, well, I hope you found that. Remember to look out for those unexpected moves. I missed that one queen move there. All right, so on to the next problem. We just had a capture here. Their king is out in the center of the board. What can we do to go after that king? Is it possible? Well, we could capture this pawn with check with our queen. Maybe that would work. The knight checks would be captured by their queen. So, this queen capturing on g3 with check looks to be the best, because now the king will have to move. And, pause the video if you need to think longer. If not, capture with check. Maybe there's an even better move. No. Well, yeah, another lesson to be learned here. If you see one move, there might be a better one, so take time to look for a better move. If I go here, they can just block with their queen. So this capture might be a little bit better because there's no way to block, no way to capture the queen, so the king has to run. Either to here, then we can capture on e3 and it'll be mate, or here to d2, and we can still capture on e3 with mate, because the knight will cut off the c2 square. All right, and they make it easy for us. All right, on to the next problem. The queen is under attack by this pawn, blocking the check. So, what can we do here? All right. Well, once again, look for those checks. Now, immediate checks, do we want to sacrifice our queen? Probably not. Pawn would just capture, and we don't have a follow-up. We capture the rook, queen captures, and we might not have a good follow-up. But maybe there's another check. So what do you think we should do here? Queen to h4 check. Now, when a king is in check, you have three options, or your opponent has three options. The king that's in check has the option to capture the attacker, block the attacker, or run from the attacker. So, and that's in a normal check. If it's like a discovered check or a double check, then the king might only be able to run. But in this instance, queen to h4 check. If the king goes here, we can capture, forcing the queen to capture, and then we could deliver a mate on f2. So that's one option. So it looks good. Queen to h4 check. The only option is for the king to run to here. We capture the rook. Either the queen blocks, but more likely the queen will capture, and then we can deliver a mate. So here we go. Check, check, and mate, because the pawn's protecting. All right, a 1370 rated problem. We completed 5, it looks like, so on to the next 5. Knight has just jumped forward, attacking our queen. Our queen is lined up on the king here. But, let's say we sacrifice the queen. Do we have a follow-up? Rook captures here on b2, but then the king could escape. So I'm thinking we probably need to knock this knight out. So knock out the knight with our bishop, perhaps. So capture, maybe the pawn captures, or the rook. And then after they recapture, so if I capture their knight with my bishop and they recapture with the rook or the pawn, we could jump up here, threatening a mate. They could block with the rook. All right, kind of a tricky one here, but I don't know, that looks to be the way to go. Capture the knight, then once they recapture, if we go here with the rook, threatening mate, they could push the pawn, then we go here and renew the mate threat. The only way they could stall that is just sacrificing their queen. So capture, rook captures. Yeah, here we go. They just capture the queen. So now we're threatening mate. What can they do? They could block, but then we just jump up here and renew the mate threat. All right, on to the next problem. I hope you're able to find these. What was that? A capture here of a pawn? I didn't see what the knight captured. But anyway, what do we have against their king first? Any checks? Well, there's possible back rank mate threats. Both rooks are attacking the back rank. This pawn is preventing the king from moving forward. So anytime there's threats on the back rank and the king is kind of trapped back there, take a good look at that. Now, if we go here, the bishop can just capture and block another check. But what if we go here first? rook to b8, pulling the rook this way and freeing the d8 square. All the opponent can do is block, then we just capture with a mate. So there we go, a back rank mate because of this pawn. All right, 3 more problems to go. We just had a capture here, and now, what can we do? Okay, this is a common theme, something to be aware of. Anytime the knight can jump here and attack the king, the only thing the king can do is just run away. Now, if this h-file was open, perhaps we would be able to deliver a mate. So what we're going to try and do is knight to e2, driving the king onto the h-file, sacrifice the first rook, the king will capture, and the knight also here prevents the king from moving to the g-file, so our other rook can jump over here, delivering a check that can only be blocked by the queen, and then we'll just capture with mate. So check, sacrifice the first rook, bring the next one in, and mate. All right, 2 more problems to go. We have the queen jumping forward here. What is this queen doing? Anything in particular? All right, maybe it's helping guard the knight. In case we capture, pawn captures, it'll drive our bishop away. Okay, what do we even have in this position? What do we have in this position? All right. Well, as usual, look for attacks on the king, but I don't really see anything, any way to even get up there towards that king. So then we can look for unprotected pieces. Everything's protected except for this pawn. But we have 2 attackers, a pawn and a queen defending this knight. So there might be a little tricky maneuver here. So pause the video if you need to think longer. This one is a little tricky. Hopefully you'll find the answer to this. So let's take a look. Now imagine if this pawn wasn't here, our pawn could just move forward and fork the queen and the knight here. So what we need to do is get rid of this pawn. So we can give up our bishop pair by capturing the knight. The queen can't recapture because then we'll just capture the queen. So the pawn has to capture. And then that'll allow us to push forward here, forking the queen and the knight. All right, capture and fork. Then we just pick off the knight here. All right, well, 1 more problem to go. Let's look at the final problem. The knight has just dropped back here, attacking our knight. But there might be a problem with that move. So take a look at it, see if you can figure it out. What do you think? What can we do to take advantage of this knight here? Pause if you need more time. If not, it looks like there's a problem. If that knight captures, if we bring our rook over here and pin the knight to the rook, if they take our knight, we can just capture the rook with check. And then we could possibly just go over here behind this pawn and pick that off So let's take a look at that. Rook to d8, pinning the knight to the rook. What's the best move? If he doesn't do anything, then we can just capture the knight, and our knight will back up that capture of the knight with our rook. So, maybe they capture here. We capture their rook. With check, the king will have to move forward. Then maybe we move here and grab this pawn. So anyway, pin. Oh, and they did the move that they should not have there. Now we can just take the knight for free, and we come out ahead a knight here. All right, well, I hope you were able to solve those 10 puzzles for today. Keep working on those puzzles on your own. You can look at the other videos in this series, solve puzzles on chess.com or in books. Regular daily tactics and puzzle solving can definitely help improve your chess. All right, well, feel free to leave any comments. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. And have a super chess day.